Welcome to our special episode of Ecofeminism, Work Towards an Equal and Green Youth, a project supported by Erasmus+. This initiative aims to empower girls and women through sustainable practice, promote climate justice, and foster social inclusion. By addressing the barriers created by gender inequality, particularly in the ecological space, this project seeks to build a more inclusive and greener future for youth. Our project brings together amazing partners from across Europe, including XX Element from Portugal, GTF from Croatia, Seiklejate Vennaskond from Estonia, EUROSUD from Italy, and Jarrón Club from Spain. Through intercultural exchange, capacity building activities, and local awareness sessions, we are engaging young people in meaningful discussions around ecofeminism, gender equality, and climate action.
So before we go with the questions, we just want to introduce you to the people who are going to watch and listen to the podcast. So we are thankful for you to accept our invitation to participate in this. So a little bit of your background, as we researched, is that you hold a bachelor and master in archaeology and history from the University of Zadar in Croatia. Then you have a postgraduate diploma in comparative mythology from Mumbai University in India, and a PhD in archaeology from the capital Normal University in Beijing, China. You also spent some time visiting graduate researchers at UCLA in the United States, and your work spans several disciplines and geographical contexts, giving a truly global perspective on the issues like ecofeminism and environmental justice. As Rita already mentioned, you are a co-editor of the book Ecofeminism on the Edge: Theory and Practice, that you co-edited with Suzana Marjanić, sorry. So we will ask you later more about the book, but yeah, we would ask you to maybe tell us more about yourself and how you got involved with the topic of ecofeminism and how everything started.
Okay, thank you again for the opportunity and for this very kind introduction and very deep introduction. Maybe I should type it a little bit so that I can use it later. It is useful for my self-introduction. Yes, well, actually, last several years I spent into researching ecofeminism. We can say that there are multiple elements that brought me to ecofeminist research agenda. First of all, it is my interest in environmental humanities. Since I was a master's student at the University of Zadar, I have kind of interest to research environmental history and environmental humanities itself. So, as you know, environmental humanities is kind of umbrella term for various disciplines that crossroads humanities and environmental studies, including environmental or eco-history, ecofeminism, or eco-criticism, or human-animal studies, human-plant studies, post-humanism, and many, many others. So I started as kind of environmental historian, and then I brought a little bit a broader image into my, or bigger picture, into my research area. So the next level, or the next step was actually collaboration with Suzana Marjanić and Carmen Ratković, where we have a small workshop at the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Zagreb. And as it was 2012 2017, I think, or even 16, but I think 17 memory is very fragile. Always the documents are that we should supposed to rely on. So at this time, it was supported by some other colleagues, such as Mirjana Grabovec from the Green Action, and at that time, Professor Drago Roksandić from the Faculty of Humanities at the University of Zagreb. And during this our small workshops cycle, or we can say, it was an idea to continue do this. And we can say that we developed in the two lines. One line was my personal line. So I started another PhD in anthropology, where I'm researching ecofeminism in Southeastern Europe. It's still going on. It's not finished yet. And second line was this edited volume that you mentioned previously, Rita, which is published in Croatian language. So there are two lines how we develop this. My personal way, why I get interested into ecofeminism, because ecofeminism is very inclusive. And it shows very creative approach of connection between green and female. Not in a way like we just merge them, like make a sum of two, but it's completely new. It is understanding of the similar roots of oppression against the nature or against the women and female and others with big O. So I realized this very creative idea could be good research agenda for both for education, for schools, for universities, but also for approaching to various academic disciplines that are not so closely connected to this. I can speak about this a little bit later if you want. So this was kind of my starting point to get into ecofeminist approach.
We can see that ecofeminism is very present in your life, in your work, in your research. How is ecofeminism reflected also in your day-to-day life? How is it present in your, when you wake up in the morning until you go to sleep?
Yes, actually, during my study of ecofeminism and going into, I actually become more and more aware of this. So instead of understanding the separate kind of the problems in society that we are aware very often, like when you wake up in the morning, maybe you can hear some traffic issues or you can hear some issues with the waste or garbage, etc. I try to think from an ecofeminist perspective, how inclusive is this and how interacted it is in between. Because we know when we go through ecofeminism that nothing is separated. It's all intersectionality. The variety of the problems have the same roots. So this helps me for better understanding. On another hand, it helps me as a teacher to have more inclusive perspective, to understand different approaches, to remove the agenda that maybe I'm the only one who knows or who is right, instead of to understand, okay, there are multiple perspectives, like ecofeminism usually has, supported by critical thinking. But very important element from ecofeminism to add the third in this story of critical thinking and multi-perspectivity is ethics of care and empathy. So with ecofeminism, you start to understand, for example, animals and plants from the different perspective. And I very often start to ask myself a question about the value. Is my life, is me as a personality or personhood more valuable than animals or plants or things? And how we can measure this. And it also brings us to the questions of power and questions of responsibility, which is always within the society. So I can say I am thinking activist in this way. I'm not a practical activist in a way that I live in ecofeminist villages or ecofeminist community, but I'm trying to understand and put ecofeminist agenda into my daily life. And to give one example, I wrote a few texts for the different portals and from different chapters and books about the ecofeminism in education. Not in a way that ecofeminism should be new subject in the schools. is completely wrong from my standpoint of view. Ecofeminism should be a platform to integrate. Why children from the primary school, those early young pupils, cannot learn about ecofeminism as ethics of care, as ethics of understanding. Maybe they can take care about some animals, or maybe they can take care about some plants, or maybe they can make by themselves something that they need. I don't know, for example, this box for pencils and pens. They can make it from the wood. They don't need to buy it in some fancy luxury shopping mall. So I think this could be a way how we can try to approach ecofeminism to this, or for some generations that are a little bit older, to start to think about ecofeminism within the popular culture. Let's start with the most famous example, which is Avatar. Or we can not try to think about, okay, how Avatar could be understood as a popular way of ecofeminist approach. I think this could be a good example how we can try to learn more about ecofeminism, and how we can try to deal and integrate in a daily life in a way that it could be and it should be accepted by most of the population, right?
We have a question that is also a kind of curiosity, because in what we realize in the ecofeminist movement, it's that we have the main protagonists are females, are women. So how do you feel also being a male? And thank you so much for that, because as an activist and a feminist, normally we have some male supporters that are with us, and it is so important when the movement it's with all the people, or all the genders. It's for all the genders, not only for, when you use the word feminist, it's not only for women. So and also thank you for also being one of the supporters. But how do you feel and about these, and how also do you see these questions?
So when we speak about this kind of female dominant ecofeminism, of course it is true. As far as I know, there are not so many males included, particularly not in ecofeminist academia. I have just idea to mention Richard Twin and Douglas Vakoc as the most prominent ecofeminists in the world at the moment. Probably there are more, but if you put it on a list, probably it will be really female dominated kind of movement and research agenda, etc. Well, I think there are different lines. I think I choose way to research ecofeminism as kind of my rational decision. I don't just feel about this. I understand this. I try to see that this is kind of one of possible ways to make world as a better place for different groups. And secondly, I think it is also important to have overlaps between those subaltern, if we can use this term, so people who are really have issues, for example, with climate changes, directly have issues. Maybe their houses are burning, or they have floods or something else that we have in India or Kenya or South America, for example, and their ecofeminist movements and their voice to be here in the world, but also to others who are not directly maybe interfered or not directly challenged by some troubles, but would like to join. I think it's very important to overlap those two lines. So I think it is super important. We have third world ecofeminists from Africa or from India or from Central America, but also it's important that we have European or Australian or Canadian ecofeminists as well, both male, female, able and disabled, or different sexualities, different nationalities, different race, different religions, etc. I think it is very important for the way how ecofeminist works with the inclusivity. So yes, I'm in a way where more females are, but I don't feel that I'm minority. And I think this is very important for the ecofeminist, that we should make a way or leverage that no one is minority, that we are or equal in this discussion.
It's a good conclusion of the question. Thank you so much. You already started a little bit in this field, but the next question that we have is how can ecofeminist policies address contemporary challenges?
Okay, so I predict that you are all sitting in front of your monitors and in front of your laptops. So we can say it is kind of square with 4 dimensions, with 4 corners, right? One corner is definitely capitalism. Another corner is imperialism. The third one is speciesism. And the fourth one is colonialism. In the middle of this is a patriarchy, or patriarchy, how much you, I'm sorry for my bad pronunciation. So all those elements are actually behind the scene. They are the roots in different layers, in different elements. And from all of this, it grows inequality. It grows racism, nationalism, some other issues that we have, neoliberalism or libertarianism, etc. So I think it's very important that we understand this image that we have in our mind. So in this way, ecofeminism is one of the solutions that could understand that the various positions, even if we are speaking about the movement of the last generation that is challenging the climate changes, or even if we are speaking about water pollution in southern India, or if we are speaking those green movements in Honduras, or green belt movement in Kenya, because ecofeminism shows these small connections that, because it is not just eco plus feminism, or eco this minus feminism, it depends how you write it, it is also included in this plus or minus, depends how you write it, indigenous groups. It is also included local farmers, local people who work there. There are inclusion of various other subalterns and the groups. And very important, ecofeminism is not excluding like white males. Maybe someone will understand this, because they are trying to understand that we all, humans, animals, plants, suffer from the similar problems mentioned by growing from these roots that I said before. So ecofeminism could address the challenges of climate changes, because it is not equal to all of us. Some people have more problems with the climate changes. Some people have more problems with the waste or pollution. Some people, on the other hand, have more problems with their indigenous rights or their languages, or on another hand, with traffic pollution or different human rights that they're suffering. So I think it is very important to understand these teleconnections between this and interconnections, because ecofeminism could be possible on the 2 layers. One is very local, by building ecofeminist villages or communities. Another is very global. There is no national ecofeminist or continental ecofeminist, because then it's kind of useless, because then the change cannot be traced in the future. So I think for many topics, not just I mentioned here, but many others, ecofeminism could be a way of rethinking, not in a way that I will lost something or I am become smaller, but instead I will become part of the larger community, larger group, and then I will grow.
And what would be your advice to give to someone who decides that they want to become an activist or an ecofeminist? What would you recommend them?
I think there are a few very important, we can say, I'll not say advices because I'm not some big guru that knows the truth, so I can share with others. But my opinion, the first layer, what we should try to think is that ecofeminism is positive. It is joy. It is support. It is happiness. We should not start from the story of anxiety and pessimism. We should start from the story that we are doing something good. It's nice. It could be hedonism. It could be enjoying. It could be pleasure. Secondly, we also need to think, not just for ecofeminism, but for all other movements, how to come closer to, we can say, I'll use this term, I'm sorry, average people. So to some persons who are in your neighborhood, who has their daily life and daily pressure from the variety of elements. So we need to try to find ways to overlap with them. What is in common with us? Yes, maybe many issues could be pop up and it is very easy to find a difference, but you should work on the similarities and try to closely allied with them or make some kind of coalition. And the third, very important, is to have kind of strategical thinking and the PR. If, for example, I'm very boring when I speak, then I should not be in public if I'm boring, or if I'm introvert, or if I have anxiety. Then we should select someone else who could be person who will be a speaker or spokesman or etc. So it is very, very important in these elements. But in general, I think that we should try to work not just on the emotional elements of ecofeminism, which are kind of strong, but also to rational elements that people says, okay, I would like to join. Maybe I don't feel it, but I would like to join. I think it is good. I think it's important.
I also would like to ask you if you can tell us more about the books that you have published. Maybe they are also an interesting starting point for the ones that want to know more about ecofeminism.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we have recently published 2 books dedicated to ecofeminism. Recently means in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, not so recently. So the first one was in Croatian language, which is titled Ecofeminism Between Green and Female or Women Studies. We want to emphasize both elements. And this is the first collective edited volume in the Croatian language. Before this, it was some special journal issue of the journal Treća in Croatian language. There are 2 issues, 2008 and 2000, and one also journal called Bread and Rose, which also have one special issue dedicated to ecofeminism. What we want to do, Professor Marjanić and I, we have 3 different basically layers that we try to emphasize. The first layer was to give chance for the researchers from the Southeastern Europe to present their work, which is very, very valuable to hear from this region, which is not so common to be looked on. Secondly, we also try to translate some important text, like text from Susan Griffith or from Ariel Saleh or from Caroline Merchant to Croatian language, which can boost the local knowledge and the local understanding of ecofeminism. And third, and maybe the most important, is this cooperation and integration, because the books has academic papers, research papers, but also we have essays and at the end poetry. So we integrate art and science, art and academia, or we can say both types of the art, because in humanities in English, they also says art, right? Master of art, etc. So this was very, very important layer for this. And then we did various promotions by using the online resources. We had various small one-session conferences online with us, co-organized by Center for Female Studies in Zagreb. And we had book promotions in Croatia, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Slovenia, and in Serbia. So it was various options to hear about this book. And it was a certain amount of time, once upon time, they will say. But after this, our first idea was to try to translate this book to English. But very quickly, Professor Marjanic and I, we dismissed this idea because it was not so easy to find any funds to do translation. It is a long journey, and maybe it was not so necessary. So we said, okay, let's try to make more global work called Ecofeminism on the Edge. And we have support by Professor Martina Topić from the University of Alabama, who is chief of the book series at the Emeralds in Leeds in UK. And she supported us to make this kind of collection. And instead of be focused just on Southeastern Europe, we select some colleagues who have enough energy, time, and capabilities to prepare their works in English. And we add them with some important scholars around the world, from Australia to Europe, to Africa, to North America. And those new, we can say, book is completely new. It's not translated. And it is the way how we try to deal with those challenges, because it's the first time that maybe people can read about ecofeminist approach to law, which is a very important topic, or to ecofeminist approach to different movements in Bolivia or Nigeria, or Australia, which is also quite different than usual. And we also add quite broad sessions to literature and movies, because mostly ecofeminism is kind of connected with those social sciences, such as sociology or anthropology or something like this. But we add this part, how to put ecofeminist lenses to analyze, for example, literature or movies or cartoons. So it was very, very important. And after this, we also had few journal issues. The last one will be published maybe up to the end of this year. It is also for the journal Treća in Zagreb, with the text from English and Croatian. And we make it broader into environmental humanities. We have one new edited volume, a huge one, called Eco-Criticism in Croatian language. And we are now working on, Professor Marjanic and I, about the new book in English called Ecofeminism and Mythology. So we'll try to put ecofeminist lenses to mythology from different parts of the world, which could be very, very useful to understand myths, legends, and mythology from this ecofeminist perspective. So it is completely new way of maybe understanding. And in the future, if I may add, I would like to also include ecofeminism into another fields that I have more interest and more expertise, such as archaeology or classics, where it will be very interesting to see, because the potential is huge. I could just mention few elements, and you will all know, like Medusa. Medusa is ideal topic for ecofeminism, because Medusa integrates, not because of Starbucks, of course, but Medusa integrates the human-animal connection and also female connection, but also kind of elements of the nature. Where is Medusa located, and how she was punished, and about the rape, etc. Or additional example that I'm very interested in is Echo, this nymph from the Narcissus myth. She cannot speak, right? She can just repeat the last sentence. This is why she's sound reflection, called Echo. So she's also part of feminist approach, because she's located into nature, somewhere in the rocks and mountains outside of Greco-Roman civilization. She's a female, and she's a person with disabilities. this is very, very important to understand from this perspective also, that make us very, very broader elements to understand domination, oppression, patriarchy within the ancient cultures. And this is kind of the, we can say, pool which is huge, and no one is using it. And I think it is very, very interesting, because it can bring ecofeminism to new fields. And if we add more history or anthropology, or maybe more popular culture, I'm very curious to see how to analyze ecofeminism of computer games, or of the comics, cartoons, something that we use in the daily life, or some toys from the ecofeminist perspective. I think it could be a very, very good element to make ecofeminists larger and broader. I'm saying this because in the academia, ecofeminism is still very rare. It is not in a way that there are no courses, they are. But as far as I know, there are no teachers or professors who are employed to teach ecofeminism. They got their positions to do something else, and maybe one of the courses could be ecofeminism or some sub-levels of ecofeminism. But there is no that you can be professor of ecofeminism. As far as I know, if your audience know, I'll be very happy to hear information about this. Where is it and how is it organized? And without educational and academic ecofeminism, it will be very hard to build a movement, because education and academy could bring the new elements, new ideas, new fresh thoughts, and it is very broad. So I think this is also one important wing for ecofeminism, that ecofeminism could fly.
My next question is little bit more, I would say, a little bit connected more to Southeastern Europe, specifically to Croatia, since we have partners in Croatia. Just for you to give us a kind of situation that is currently in Croatia, and your opinion, like, do we need, what type of, for example, the projects like this that we are doing, could they reach to people? Should we make more, a little bit from your perspective?
Yes, ecofeminism in Croatia is much stronger and has a longer history that we all think. The first use of the word ecofeminism have been at the Faculty of Theology from the 1990 by Ana Rafaj. And later, 1995, Vesna Teršelić and Carmen Ratković, they started to teach ecofeminism at the Center for Female Studies. And later, as I mentioned, there are few journal issues dedicated to ecofeminism, but also there are few people who graduated with the ecofeminist topics, such as Mirella Holy with her PhD thesis about ecofeminism and mythology, then Maria Geiger-Zeman and Ivanka Buzo with the topics about ecofeminism and the social sciences, sociology from different elements, social and cultural elements of ecofeminism. And there are courses about ecofeminism at the University of Zagreb and University of Rijeka. So this is kind of academic development, and it still continued to have a course at the Center for Women's Studies or Female Studies in Zagreb. At the moment, Professor Susana Marjanić and I are teaching that course last 2 years. So this is kind of one path, academic ecofeminism. Second path is activist ecofeminism. Croatia has this luck that we have 2 ecofeminist villages. One village is called Gea Viva, another village is called the Earth of Us, or the Earth for Us. I'm not so sure about the English translation. Croatian name is Zemlja za nas. They are both located at the island of Brač. So These ecofeminist movements have different roots and different perspectives, if you can call them movements or the villages. On the one hand, Gea Viva is more oriented about the geomancy and those spiritual elements of ecofeminism, while Gea Viva, another one, the Earth for Us, started as kind of community. If I may say one funny story. When I visited the Earth for Us at the island of Brač, my first question as a scholar was, what kind of literature did you read and what kind of books did you refer on to start your community? And surprisingly, they said nothing. So they didn't read literature. They didn't start from theoretical frameworks, then make it into practice. They just don't want to live a more easier or simple life within the nature, within their community. And then ecofeminism becomes something natural. It's not that this is theoretically explained so much. So this is the second root of the ecofeminism in Croatia. The third root is politics, where it is mostly represented by Mirela Holy and previously by her political party called ORAH, Sustainable Development of Croatia. So this is the third. So this is kind of now this mosaic of ecofeminism in Croatia. As I understand, your question was to add how to improve it, right? Yeah, it is a very, very good question. As I said before, we should try to maybe go through education and through workshops. Ecofeminism has this potential with these green and eco elements. And we know that there are a lot of green farmers, eco villages in Croatia, for example. So this could be part for develop ecofeminism a little bit more. Or on another hand, it could be related to those female, women, gender movements, to rethink, or at least to be open to have some sections dedicated to ecofeminism. So I think it could be two parts. It's not necessary that we integrate both together for now, but maybe those two parts could be. But the key element is to go to those rural areas and to give workshops and to discuss with the people, because they are not just living in the rural areas. Many of them, they have strong emotional or spiritual relations to their areas. One good example is in Bosnia and Herzegovina, those fierce women of Kruščica, Hrabre žene Kruščice, the ecofeminist movement, who started as rebellion against making hydropower plants on this small river Kruščica nearby Vitez. And they actually, because of their connection to this river, they stop this project. They suffer a lot. They have been into jail. They have been under huge oppression, pressure, but they make this kind of as successful in general and in final. And this is, and they didn't start from the theoretical frameworks. They start from their strong connection to the river. I think there is a good point for ecofeminism, to start with this, to think about this, to see about this. And then we can try to maybe add additional layers.
So the next question is, because this project is for youngsters, for the young generation. So I would like you to introduce ecofeminism, a definition for them, and also some words saying how do you think, or why do you think ecofeminism is so important today?
When we are going to speak with the younger generation, with the youth, of course, we need to have in our mind that they're born in different world than we are born. When I grow up, I didn't have cell phone or computer. My first computer was when I was 12 years old, which is impossible for our kids who are born with computer, and they easier use the cell phone than speak, even when they are infants. So we need to think in a way how it is acceptable to them. So I think instead of content thinking, it's more important to method thinking. What kind of methods we can bring to them? And for me, I think the variety of methods that could include different kinds of workshops or work in pairs, or maybe those mixed groups works or energizers. So variety of methods could bring them to look more into this. Also, we should use the advances of digital technology. Why not to have kind of TikTok channel about ecofeminism, which will be very short, like 30 seconds, 1 minute, then explain in a simple way how is some terms from the ecofeminism, some understanding, or some YouTube videos or podcast or Spotify or something else. I think it is very important because it will be very hard to understand that the younger generations will go into deep philosophical thinking at the beginning. And sometimes ecofeminist texts are complex and not so easy to read and not so easy to get. So I think it is very important to start layer by layer, step by step, maybe with one workshop, with the practical elements, with mixture of methods, with the digital tools, and then going step by step. Very important is to have regular activities, because how will some famous Portuguese boy become famous Portuguese player like Bernardo Silva or Cristiano Ronaldo? He will go to his football club day by day, every week. We cannot start this, that we have workshop this September and then another one in March. We need to have kind of the group every week to work and collaborate together, and maybe make it as a kind of project, or even better, as a problem-solving idea. Why don't start from the local story? I know in Coimbra or in Porto or in Zagreb or in Imotski, where this story could be attached to them. Maybe mixture of the history, mixture of those natural sciences, mixture of geography, biology, and to see, okay, we have this issue, how we can try to solve this, and then apply ecofeminist elements to this step by step, working maybe half an hour every week, that the students are warm up all the time, and at the end they could do some presentation, they could do some kind of promotion, or they got some at least symbolic award for their work. I think this could be the layer. So those toolkits could be very, very useful, particularly if they're in multiple languages, and if they are kind of applicable, because we always need to dance in between global and tough topics and something which is for kids very, very useful. Because for children it's not so easy to, and those pupils, to have imagination about something which is far away, something which is not so common to them. You cannot tell them, okay, the Amazonian rainforests have been destroyed recently. They don't have imagination about this, but maybe you can try to measure about their experiences, what they know, what happened to them, what is their bond with some plants, with some animals, with their local community, with some region, and then from this, step by step, grow this. And also, I think it is important to remove this kind of feeling being guilty, because a lot of people have this affection that they feel, oh, I'm guilty because this was not successful, or I'm guilty for the climate changes. I think we should remove this agenda, because it's not that you two are guilty or I am guilty. Obviously, something else much structural and much in the longer process should take responsibility, not us. So I think for ecofeminism, it's important also to make this for the kids something achievable, that they feel good and that they feel that they can make some success.
It is the best end for this episode with this message. And thank you so much for all of your knowledge. It was very inspiring for me to listen to you. So thank you so much for this moment. And I hope to meet you again soon, and I hope that we have more opportunities to talk about ecofeminism and to create maybe some workshop together, doing some other activities. So Goran, thank you so much for your presence here today with us.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you for the invitation, for the interesting questions. I really enjoy not just to answer, but to think about this and rethink. And hvala lijepa, obrigado.